Stories that are untold, underreported, and all-out inspirational. Carey Pena reports.
Hey everyone, it's Carey Pena. Thank you so much for listening to Carey Pena Reports on iTunes and Stitcher, and for watching our live stream. You can always find our shows at inspiredmedia360.com, and of course on Facebook and YouTube at inspiredmedia360. Our guest today, he's back, Luke Kayyem. We have so much to talk about. Some exciting things that you have to share with the audience. You're going to outline 8 ways to show up in 2017, and your tips are bomb. I love them. But first, I really want to talk to you about this big time trip and one of your personal goals that you just achieved. Tell us about it.
It was brilliant. We were 19,641 feet, 19,341 feet, and there was a couple other groups there. We had summited at about 8:30 in the morning, and I had my GoPro, and I just had changed the chip out to record a little bit longer because I just wanted to get a couple videos at the top. And I turned the camera around and I was talking to my children, and I shot a 75-second video telling them that don't ever let anybody tell them that they can't do something. Don't ever let anybody tell them that they can't go somewhere, and that they can do anything they want to in this world and become anything if they believe. And I'm standing on top of the world screaming at the top of my lungs, Daddy made it to the top of the world in Mount Kilimanjaro. And it was amazing. That video obviously stuck with me for a while and still does. It was very powerful, very impactful. But being there right at that second, seeing where we had come from, seeing these ice walls that unfortunately our porters said would be gone in 10 years because of our Earth warming up. Seeing all of that and being there in the moment and forgetting about all the stuff that happened to get there, it was worth every minute. It was worth losing bags. It was worth sitting in the middle seats for flights in both directions, because I missed my flight, so they threw me in the middle.
It seems like that's perhaps a little bit of an analogy, that you're standing on Kilimanjaro and you said, Daddy made it. But for you personally, you've gone through a lot of tough struggles in your life, and yet you're standing here today as someone who's able to coach others. How does that feel to have walked through your journey? And if you can, share a little bit of what you've walked through to get here.
Yeah, it's emotional because of the positivity that I'm able to deliver right now. And it wasn't always like that. And if you know a little bit about my story, you know that I was raised, my mom had me at 43 years of age as her first and only child. So being at home was not like it was in other people's homes, and there was no father figure. And I was raised by a couple different women, my grandma and my great aunt, and I hated men. I absolutely hated men. I hated men till I was about 25 years old. And I realized what I hated, I was afraid of. I was afraid of powerful men, and I didn't know any personally that I could count on or call on. So when I became a man, when I had children, when I got married, I realized this was going to be my life's mission. This was going to be my work. And now, fast forward 10, 15 years later, that is my entire mantra in this universe, is to deliver life and show people that you can become anything you want to with purpose and passion and positivity. And I didn't always have it. And I'll just tell you a quick story. Last week, I was asked to deliver the eulogy at one of my best man's funerals, and he was 36 years old, and we lived together in Hawaii, and we grew up together in Palm Springs. And it took me a couple days to write this thing, and it was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. And we talked just a moment ago on being able to stand up and talk to people in public speaking, and this is not like winning an award. This is not like going in for a job interview. But I did it, and I felt that I delivered it the best I could, not breaking down and crying emotionally. But I was speaking to a room. There's 1,000 people in this room, and my good friend Michael Cazares, his 10-year-old daughter, was in the front row. And I had to look at her, and I had to deliver this message as best that I could. And afterwards, I was almost uncomfortable with the amount of people coming up to me, shaking my hand and saying that I did such a great job, because it wasn't about that. I wasn't going into get a grade on a paper in a public speaking class.
Yeah.
I was leaving a man's legacy right then and there, and I was doing my best to tell stories and make people laugh and make people cry, and it did all those things, but I didn't want that attention because it wasn't about me. But then coming home and seeing my own kids and telling them, hey, this is what Dad did this weekend, you guys would have been proud of me, I realized that it was important. And then getting the text messages from friends, Luke, I'm so proud of you. I can't believe you made it and you've turned your life around, because 15 years ago, it was not the same guy. And people say, how do you change? How do you really change in life? Well, it starts with you. If you want to change anything, your finances, your relationships, your job, your home, then it has to start with you. You cannot blame things on everyone else.
Well, it strikes me what you're saying, and you've lived it, so you're a great person to be coaching others because you've walked the walk, but what you're talking about is living a very intentional life. So I want to take people through some of these tips that you've put together. You say that you want people to go forward in 2017 with purpose, passion, and positivity, and you sort of outlined 8 ways to do that, starting with love.
Starting with love. Why don't people show, and I'm going to use people as really, the people I work with most are men, husbands, and fathers, because those are the ones who struggle the most, because we're supposed to keep our chin up high when we're not supposed to be sad, and we're not supposed to, play with our daughter, we're not supposed to sing songs, we're supposed to hide these emotions because that's what a man does. And I'm here to say, no, that's not what a man does. A man needs to be able to start by showing his love for his family, for himself, for his friends, for the things in life that make him happy. So this is the piece of showing intense feeling of deep affection through physical touch and compassion. And telling people you verbally are appreciating them through their words, using the sentence, I love you and I love you more. So it starts there.
And just simply saying something and not expecting anything in return, just really putting yourself out there. I think that's an important point. The next thing you say is reflection. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, you got to look inside yourself. You have to be able to search for more. This is a place where we celebrate the victories and evidence of where we have come from. So sometimes I reflect on my life as a kid and my times when I was messing up in my 20s and the conversations I had with people, and I realized that I was all about self. And now being here, talking to you and, inspiring and being able to really live with passion and purpose, I've got to reflect on that. It's not looking back. It's not looking back in the way of like, I didn't do what I needed to do yesterday, I need to do it today. None of these things are your honey-do list. This is, I wake up in the morning and I have these words written down on paper, and I can go through them and say, what do I love today? What are my reflections for the day? What are my intentions, which is number 3, having true intention. When I woke up this morning, I woke up sick. I've got a little bit of a cold. And I said, how easy would it be for me to just cancel my day? But no, I can't do that. I have to show up with full intention. My intention today is to deliver the message of purpose and passion and positivity. And if somebody's invited me to be on their show, I don't care if I have a broken leg and, my neck hurts and my head hurts. I've got to be here with true intention to fulfill the commitment that I made.
And number 4, awareness.
Yes. This is a tough one for most men. This was a tough one for me for a long time. Yes, I'm aware of the lights and the cameras that are on right now. And yes, I'm aware of where I am in this moment in time. But being aware of other people around you. And I talk about it with fun and laughter and joy, but I'm number 5 in my house. It goes my wife, my 2 kids, my standard poodle, and then me. So I have to take care of all.
Behind the dog, huh?
This is a dog. Yeah. We'll have to have him on the show sometime.
Purpose.
Yeah, purpose. Purpose can be painful for people sometimes. Purpose can be hard to accept. But every time I have an opportunity to help someone, I realize what my true purpose is. Every time I stick a camera in front of my face and I talk about how to live a greater life, I realize my purpose. Every time somebody reaches out to me and says, hey, I saw your message, I saw your video, I saw something, that's crazy, man. Like, I can't believe Luke, you're not in jail. You're not dead. You're here. And it's like, yeah, man, that's my purpose.
This
more
is
and
your
more.
purpose.
This is it.
It drives you.
Yeah.
It's interesting on that point because one of the things we do at my company, Inspired Media 360, I'm brought in to consult on some brand building projects and to go in and do the editorial content. And no matter how big it is, the CEO, a big company, I always like to ask that question, what is your purpose? What's your mission? Because it sort of strips away all of these like slogans that we want to throw out there and just really get to the heart of it. What are we here to do? And it's when you open up that conversation and you see someone just speaking from their heart, it changes the game, right? I love that. So then the next one on your list is mindfulness.
Yeah. Peace of mind. Mental observation is achieved through dedicated quiet time. So this is meditating. This is doing yoga, tai chi, finding time in your day. And I said this a couple weeks ago, but this is an adult timeout. You're giving yourself a timeout. You're putting baby in the corner.
I just got to put baby in the corner. Luke, you coach a lot of business people, I would assume, and we're all busy, right? So mindfulness sounds good in theory, but it is tough to really get people on board with that, where they can really carve out quiet time. A lot of people feel uncomfortable with that or feel like, I don't have time to set aside to try to be mindful. How do you get people over that hump?
If somebody comes to me with an issue or a challenge, I ask them some very basic questions. Purpose, passion, who are you living for? Why do you work so hard? What gets you up in the morning? And then I ask them, well, how do they prepare for those things? And they say, well, I don't. I get my clothes out in the morning and I eat breakfast and this and that. I say, well, do you take 5-minute time out and really look at yourself and say, hey, look, these are the things I need to do today in order for me to show up and be present in all of these things, from my daughter's soccer to my son's baseball to dinner with my wife and teaching CEOs how to live a higher quality of life. I need to truly be intentful on what I'm trying to do within myself. And that's where we have to have these dedicated breaks. And, people sometimes can be scared of the word meditation or even the word prayer, whatever it is. It's an adult timeout to find mental perspective.
Now, I know there's a lot of apps that you can do. Do you have a recommendation there?
Yeah, so I did Headspace for a while, and I've done Clear, and I love Abraham Hicks on YouTube. That's a great one. But at some point, you've got to get rid of those third-party meditations. You have to be able to find internal peace in yourself.
Guide your own meditation.
Guide your own meditation.
All right, we only have a few minutes left. We have a couple more to get here. Movement.
Got to exercise, changing your position, activity or placement in order to circulate blood flow, getting up from your desk for 5 minutes every 55 minutes, going for a walk after dinner, going for a bike ride, possibly doing a yoga class or a bar class.
Yeah.
But you got to move every single day, not just Monday through Friday.
Yeah, even if it's just short spurts. And then finally, development.
So my education ends my senior year in high school, and I'm damn proud of that because I didn't go to college because I started working right away. But I also didn't continue my education for 10 years. I just was stuck in the day-to-day grind of being a personal trainer. And then I realized I wanted more from life. And in order to get more from life, you have to find ways to develop your own knowledge, and knowledge is power. So what you don't know, you don't know. So every single day, I am either listening to a podcast or an audio book, or I'm reading books, or I'm journaling, or I'm having lunch and I'm reaching out to people who are much smarter and much wealthier and have done bigger things in their lives than I could even imagine. And I'm picking their brain because in order for me to excel, I've got to read, watch, listen, and look.
So what's the one thing that you really want people to listen to this show and take away from it?
There's not a single excuse on this planet. There isn't a single thing you can come up with that should ever stop you from achieving what you want. Nothing. Nothing. Not the way you were brought up, not the traffic, not your hair, not your sickness, nothing. If you truly want something and it's so important to you, you'll go to the end of the earth to make it happen, then that's what you should be doing more of and nothing else.
You know, I always know when we have a good interview because Shannon Hernandez will sit there and shake his head. He shakes his head. I see when he's connecting with what someone's saying, and I think he's been... You've been shaking the head.
I just got to say real quick, and the camera's not on me, but look, everything you said about meditation and finding that own space, that 10-minute, 5-minute space. I started doing that back in December, and that changed the game for me because it was a matter of just finding that peace.
Yeah.
The anxieties that was happening, the story that I was building in my own head, they didn't exist until I started to find peace in my own head and meditate for 10. Now I'm up to like 30 minutes.
And now, Shan, you're the mysterious man behind the voice.
And now I act like I'm angry, but I'm not really angry.
So, look, it's so good to have you back on the show. Where can people find you?
Right now, I would say number one would be my Facebook Lives. And we talked about this earlier, but I am dedicated to delivering Facebook Live messages on my true purpose, passion, and positivity Monday through Friday. We don't have a set time yet, but maybe by the end of the weekend we will.
Gonna get you on a schedule.
Yeah. But for now, that's where I want you to find me, is on my Facebook Lives. And of course, my website, LukeKayyem.com and thefitesttribealive.com.
And Luke is going to be contributing some content to our new talk show. So talk about development. I'm very excited. We are finally going live with our new talk show, In the Moment. It is totally focused on how to live a better life on all levels. We'll be going live on Wednesday, the 18th at 5:30. You can always see the show on inspiredmedia360.com. We will stream it live on YouTube and Facebook. So please join us for that. And thanks to all of you for listening and for watching and supporting what we are doing here at Inspired Media 360. I'm Carey Pena. Today's show produced and engineered by that guy behind the camera, Shannon Hernandez. Brought to you by Inspired Media 360. Until next time, stay inspired.